5 autumn fragrances that I know you will like. Yes, you will. I've got 5 really exciting fragrances here. Some of my favorites, actually. And over the past, 2 videos I did before this, I had another 5 in each. So we've already done 10. By the end of this, we're going to have done 15. This is more a way around doing like a top 5 or other you've got to have, because fragrance is so subjective. And the top 5 thing, yes, it's very listy, it's very YouTube, but I just want to chat about fragrance and help you find something that you absolutely love. Now, hi, if you're new here, I'm Robin. I'm the guy with the Man From Self coffee mug. How gorgeous is this? This is Man From Self, this channel right here. If you like hair product reviews, grooming, skincare, fragrance, and videos like this very one, then please do hit subscribe. Leave me a comment, tell me where you're from. Tell me if you've just joined or if you've been around for a bit. Also come and follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm trying it out, why the hell not? Okay, so let's start you on, here. Kilian Angel's Share. Do you know this? If not, then I think you might like this. You're gonna like this if you like quite sweet, quite boozy, very decadent, very luscious, sexy scents. I mean, the bottle here is gorgeous. So this one has cognac in it, a top note of cognac, which gives it this color here. There's also some vanilla, so a slight sweetness. We've had a lot of vanilla on the fragrances of late, but this one just gives me rounded, full-bodied sweetness. And it's the sweetness that really does cut through. It's very much like, sit in a bar with me, okay? We're in a bar, we're in a cocktail bar. It's maybe like 8 p.m. We're gonna go for a late dinner, maybe at like 9 p.m. And you've sat down, you're unsure what to have. The cocktail waiter comes across, how can I help you? And you want to try something different. You don't want to go for something overly fruity or long. You want something slightly shorter, something slightly sweeter. And they're gonna recommend this, Angel's Share. It's sweet, it's quite flirty, it's got a point of view, but it's approachable, it's kind of bubbly, like if this was a person. It's easy to get along with, but too much of this would make you feel a little sweet. If you get that. We all have one of those people in our lives, like, it's nice to see them. Hi, how are you? But I've had too much of you, please go away. This is this fragrance right here. Now, from something which could get a little too much, if you have too much, I'm gonna put you down there, thank you very much. Oh, these are all on manfromself.com, all my reviews plus more. You can check those out. And I'll always try and find the best prices for you, so check those out, please. Let's give you something that's, I think, very easy to wear. Very easy, quite light, sparkling, beautiful, and just easygoing. Neon Amber by Molton Brown. Pretty sure this came out last year, and it's one that I've kind of had and sort of been trying every so often, but haven't fully committed to. But every time I have worn this, I've really enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed it because it has been easy. You know, it's less of a commitment. It's something that you can just pick up and feel quite confident in. Now, this has got an opening of pink pepper. There's also an orange note in this. So something, it's a sparkling quality. It's a sparkling, vibrant, open, inviting, a slight sweetness, but this really great orange note to it. And then you move into the heart, which is more with violet leaves. There's a cedar note, and then quite a woody base, slightly resinous, slightly sort of tacky in that sort of wood, sort of like sap. You know, it's something which is quite golden, something which feels quite deep, which I just think makes it really quite inviting and really very easy to wear. I think with a lot of the fragrances that we have, I'm going a bit nose blind, I'm gonna have a bit of coffee. With a lot of the fragrances that I've had before, we've had a lot of these punchy, powerful, in your face. This would be less so, and it's very much a nuzzler, but it's so autumn/fall, hi, if you're from North America, because of that cedar note, you know, cedar needles, cedar, it gives you something quite green, but kind of moves you into a little bit of a sort of piney Christmas sort of vibe. I really think it's beautiful, and as I say, very easy to wear. Okay, let's move back into a sort of sweet, punchy territory. That was there, you go here. Penhaligons. The World According to Arthur, who is this dragon. If you don't know the portraits collection from Penhaligons, then It's this series of a family of creatures who all have personalities and all fit into this family tree. And Arthur came out last year, or maybe even earlier this year. And do you know what? It was early this year because they were doing sampling. And I kind of had a bit of a love-hate with portraits because I think Penhaligon's is so premium. And I sometimes think that the whole portraits thing can go down a little bit of a gimmicky route. But the fragrances are gorgeous, and I've had some of my absolute favorites from this. So this one is a spicy incense, a little churchy. It's got a story behind it. There's a slight sweetness to it. It's every time I've worn this, and I'll tell you this, every time I've worn this, someone has said, "What are you wearing? That smells incredible." And it is Arthur. He does smell really good. And I think what is so good about this is that smoky incense, which can sometimes just feel a little too much and a little sort of old school, old world, traveling with some sort of bag on your back and it all feeling a little bit of a sort of foreign land, is so perfectly matched with a sweetness of vanilla and tonka bean. And having that sweetness really does sort of invite you into something which feels very very welcoming, very familiar, grounded, warming. And I like that match, something which feels a little alien with something that feels so familiar. And I think that is the beauty in this. It feels like a fragrance that you could travel in, you know? It feels like a fragrance that you would have some great stories with. It feels like a fragrance that has mileage and something that would be very much a time in your life. And I think that's what's quite incredible about this. Big on the incense, absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's stay with this sort of travel, something a little bit more exotic. And let's give you this one. This has been one of my absolute favorite fragrances that I've discovered this year. LilaNur, and it is Davana Cedre. Now, this is, they say it's the first, I need to get this right, the first, I'm gonna get this so wrong. It's basically the first, come on Robin, it's a brand from India that's using really premium ingredients. So like the first luxury Indian brand. I'm gonna get that so wrong and I'm probably offending people. But essentially, they are using all these gorgeous, beautiful notes and ingredients from India. So this takes Davana, which is a herb, it's slightly earthy, and cedar. This is gorgeous. This just feels like such a moment. With the Davana, it is this herbaceous note, but there's also a slight fruitiness, a slight sweetness to it. And the cedar is so pure, exactly how cedar should smell. Something which feels like it just absorbs everything else around it. Like there's so much depth to this. And I love how this sort of like balsamic, slightly sweet, slightly fruity note just combines so beautiful with the cedar. It feels very sure of itself. It feels like it's a fragrance that's been around for years and that's like lasted and stood the test of time. And I think that's what's going to give the wearer. When I have worn this, I've kind of felt like quietly confident. I actually took this away with me. I had a little sample. Took this away with me to Athens. And I loved wearing this into the evening because it felt like my skin was slightly warm from a day in the sun. I put this on top and I liked how this felt with a white shirt. It felt like this was doing all the talking for me and everything else could be very pared back. I think this is gorgeous and this brand is hugely exciting. I love everything that they're doing. They're also doing these very pure oils. So you can take the oil, I'm pretty sure it's a rose oil, and then you can layer with the fragrance, and I love that idea. Another brand that's doing that really well is Austin's, which I've featured before. That is on manfromself.com. You can go into brands, and then you can go to Austin's, you'll see that. And this is also on there too. Incredible, really, really good. Final one in this 5, thank you very much, is one that people have actually been asking me about and said, you need to try this. And it's something I have tried and have held on to and just never covered it. I think because maybe the time it came in, I had loads on, no excuses, but this is Maison France's Kurkdjian, and this is Gentle gentle Fluidity, and this is the gold one. They had a gold one, this one, and a silver one, which I think is incredible too. They've taken the same notes and just changed up the compositions of both and kind of shown how a fragrance can just change with just those tiny tweaks and really sort of pick up on those nuances. I think this is gorgeous. I think it's so incredible. I think this is a really exciting brand at the moment. It seems that everything that comes out from MFK seems to blow up. There was Baccarat Rouge, which was this year. There's another one, 742, I want to say. Probably got that totally wrong. And it feels like there's so much of a buzz. This has got a sweet berry quality in the opening. Something which is almost like you've taken a berry out the bag and it's kind of a slightly sort of juicy on your fingers. There's a sweetness, there's the like anticipation of knowing how good this is going to taste. It just really does pop on the opening. And then moving down from the juniper berries in the top, there's almost like a dry sweet spiciness from a nutmeg note, which I think just really sort of balances that out. Into the base, there's some wood, there's some vanilla. So again, we've had quite a few sweet ones here, but with the berry, it probably pulls it the closest to, I've got all the other fragrances out. It kind of pulls it into more like, he's up there, Wilhelm Parfumerie, Poets of Berlin. If you saw the second video, I spoke about that one. That's got a blueberry note in there, and it also has a lemon note, and I think it's incredible. This gives you the juniper berry, which is more sort of gin-like. It's got something which is more, makes you think of more of those autumn winter sort of notes. A very cool, cold berry, but still with all that sweetness. And then the vanilla just rounds it. I'm liking vanilla at the moment. I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and I was explaining a fragrance, and I was talking about how I like to wear it, and I said it had vanilla, and he said, I hate vanilla, don't want vanilla. I think vanilla gets quite a hard and bad rep because we think of vanilla as being sort of those 90s scents and stuff which is like overdosing on the sweetness. But vanilla can be done really well and really right. And when it is done by a beautiful brand like MFK, it just delivers, and it really does add rather than detract. So this is gorgeous. I would say this makes me think of cashmere scarf, a beautiful shirt underneath, something which is maybe like slightly checkered or plaid, and just has so much warmth to it. Everything feels comfortable. You're feeling like you're dressed well, but you're still relaxed, if that makes sense. And then you've just got this fragrance kind of like onto your neck, behind your ears, onto your wrist, and it's just warming and welcoming. I think it's incredible. Those berries are fantastic. Really, really good. There you go. Okay, that's 5 there. Really enjoyed doing this. Thank you very much for indulging me in all of this, in all of the fragrance. If you've enjoyed this, then let me know. Feedback is always welcome. Play nicely though, please. And if you're still new to this, you still not pressed subscribe, then hey, come on, please do press subscribe right now. The button will be on screen. Also, the 2 other videos before and more fragrance videos are all up there, and a link to the fragrances down below in the description. But until my next new video, thank you very much. Bye-bye.